we have Escherichia on one axis, Salmonella on the other axis, and again we plot the number of strains. Present exactly that number, the number of genes, sorry. The number of genes present in exactly that number of Escherichias and exactly that number of Salmonellas. So what do we have here? Again, we have lots of unique genes, not interesting, forget about them. We have the common core, which is quite large, simply because Escherichia and Salmonella are closely related genera. But the common core in this case, well, for Escherichia only, the core size was something like 2000. Let's check. Yeah, over here. Around 2000. For Escherichia and Salmonella, the common core is twice smaller. It's about 1000. So the core is stable when we are working within species, but it very quickly deteriorates when we are comparing, for instance, different genera. And then you have two nice, smaller, but quite prominent peaks, which represent genes which are universal and specific to species. We have about 300 genes present in all Salmonella strains and completely absent in Escherichias, and vice versa. We have about 100 genes universal for Escherichia and completely absent in Salmonella. And these are exactly the genes that have generated these ugly internal peaks in the U-plot common for Escherichia and Salmonella. Now, let's, for instance, check Escherichia and Shigella. I told you that Shigella is not a separate, even is not a separate species, let alone a separate genus. And we observe exactly that. When we have Escherichia on one axis and Shigella on the other axis, we see next to no, well, just a couple products, very few, well, we see very few Shigella-specific genes, and absolutely no Escherichia-specific genes, genes that would be present in all Escherichias and missed by absent in all Shigellas, which proves that Escherichia and Shigella are not different species. Well, we can also check pathogenic Escherichia and non-pathogenic Escherichia, and again we observe no specific genes. Well, that's actually an old paper demonstrating that Shigella is not a good clade. So Shigella, Escherichias are in black, Shigellas are colored. Different strain, different species of Shigella have different names, like Shigella sanae, Imperia, and Boydie, and Flexnery. And we see that neither the genus itself nor species within this genus are monophyletic. So it's not a genus, and these are not species. Okay, now let's try to understand the evolution of this periphery. So what we can do, this is actually the same two-dimensional plot, but now in the form of a table. We have Escherichia strains as lines, Salmonella strains as columns, and the number of each cell here means that there is only one gene present in let me see, in 12 Salmonellas and 17 Escherichias, whatever. So the numbers in the middle of this table are very small, but when you combine them, you actually see that a very large fraction of genes belong to this common periphery. As I said, going back to this quasi-model, quasi-evolution, quasi-free model of evolution, it turns out that we have, so what do we have? We have this core, and actually this core evolves. So the common core of Escherichia and Salmonella is not all that large. Some genes are so we had some common core here, it evolved, but then we have additional core genes in Escherichia and additional core genes of Salmonella, which are not part of the common core. They have been acquired after speciation here. And we have this cloud the periphery genes. And again, it turns out that there are lots of genes which are present in some but not all Escherichias, and the same genes are present in some but not all Salmonellas. So there are two possible scenarios to explain the evolution of these genes. One scenario is that they also form this periphery in the ancestral species. So these genes were not, again, they existed as in the same, they belong to the same class in the ancestral species. They are present in some but not all ancestral traits, and they have not been fixed, and also they have not been lost by either Escherichia or Salmonella. Or an alternative scenario is that these genes have been acquired at some point by, for example, gene transfer, and they are just very frequently horizontally transferred between Escherichia and between some strains of Escherichia and Salmonella. So they exist in this very dynamic state, traveling from Escherichia and Salmonella and back. There is no absolute way to distinguish between these two scenarios, but there are some implications that can be tested. One implication is as follows. If a gene is inherited vertically, so if a gene, some specific particular gene, let's make it right, if a gene is evolving vertically, it might belong to the periphery, it might belong to the core, but its tree would be consistent with the species tree. So in this case, the phylogenetic tree for this gene would consist of two clades, Escherichia and Salmonella. If a gene has a complicated life story with horizontal transfers between Escherichia and Salmonella, then its tree might be inconsistent. The examples of inconsistent trees are shown here. These are rooted trees, but it doesn't matter. The point is that you might put the root in any, you may assign the root to any internal node or any internal branch of this tree, and you still would not see two distinct clades, two distinct monophyletic clades consisting only of Escherichias and only of Salmonella. For instance, for this tree, Escherichias are in blue, Salmonella are in red. If you put the root here, this clade would have both Escherichias and Salmonella. If you put the root here, the top branch would have both Escherichias and Salmonella, and so on. If you put the root here, both trees would have both Escherichias and Salmonella. And the same here. Here, Escherichias are in these green rectangles. And again, there is no way to put a root to root this tree so that you would have separate Escherichia and Salmonella branches. And if you go back to this table, we see that the trees for universal and almost universal genes are, almost all of them are consistent. The genes forming the frequent periphery, those that are present in the majority of, not in all strains, but in the majority of strains, also in most cases are consistent. Whereas the rare genes forming the rare periphery, which are present in fewer than half of all strains, are consistent and inconsistent to the same degree. So, and this more or less, it meets expectation, because a default assumption would be that genes which are present in all or almost all or in many strains have been inherited vertically, whereas rare genes must be newcomers, maybe acquired by independent horizontal gene transfers, or might be acquired once and then traveling between Escherichia and Salmonella. So this is these numbers are consistent with our prior expectations. Okay, well that's the same, actually the same plot. H dot, we have rare genes here. H dot is what? Gene family, we see the number of strains where this gene is present, and blue dots are families with consistent traits, and red dots are families with inconsistent traits. Okay. Well, we actually observe the same thing when we are looking at, for instance, at strains with autologous species. Again, it's three species, and we observe internal peaks corresponding to one strain or two strains to the exclusion of the third one. Okay, we can have the same plots, and again, you see here that the boundary between red and green Is it? Yeah, this one. So this is the number of genes present in half of the strains. So we have 100 strains, but this number is stable for starting here. So after looking at 20 strains, we may guarantee that whatever is the number of strains, about 1,500 genes would be present in half of these strains. So this concept of partial pangenome proved to be quite useful. And yeah, and now we can plot three-dimensional things. So what do we have here? Now we have 3 dimensions. Streptococcus, the number of strains as Streptococcus suis. The number of strains is Streptococcus pyogenes. And the number of strains is Streptococcus pneumoniae. So this is not interesting area of unique genes. Don't care. Over there at the top are genes universal for all streptococci, well, for all three species of streptococci we have studied. Yes, and the size of the circle reflects the number of genes present in exactly that number of strains. So, for instance, here it's 25 suis genes, 0 pyogenes genes, and 0 pneumonia genes. So these are genes which are universal for Streptococcus suis and specific for Streptococcus suis. So this is actually what distinguishes suis from 2 other streptococci. Now, okay, here, for instance, are genes specific for strep pyogenes over the sexes. Here at the top are genes specific for pneumococcus. Now, looking at this plot, could you guess which 2 species are closer to each other and which species is the outgroup? We have 3 species, 2 are sister species and 1 is a cousin. Who is the cousin?
Well, the one that is on the...
No, just name.
I'm not sure if you can see some...
Okay, well, again, I'll show you. Suis, pyogenes, pneumonia.
I would say that the last one is a cousin.
You're saying that pneumonia is the outgroup.
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's the distance significant further from the 2 other bacteria.
But the distance here simply reflects the number of studied strains. So how do we measure the distance here?
And we would say by the density of particles in the corner, corresponding corner.
In what corner?
In this corresponding corner.
Corresponding to what?
To genes that are common for 2 species.
Yes. Yes. What you should look at are this corner, and that corner over there. Because what do we have here? We have genes which are common to pneumonia and suis, and absent in pyogenes. What we have here, we have genes common for pyogenes and suis, but absent in pneumonia. And we see that the number of these strains is considerably larger than the number of these strains and the strains over there. So that means that pneumonia and Suis have much more common genes than the other two pairs. Which means, as you guessed, that these are the sister species. And the pyogenes is the output. Okay, cool. Same plot. Well, we can do the same for chlamydia species. Again, we see these peaks corresponding to different divisions in the evolutionary tree of chlamydia species. Again, we have same type of plots. Now, what's interesting here is that, again, the same type of plot. More than 100 genomes now. The pan genome is still rising. But what if we remove all short orbs? All orbs shorter than 100 atoms? Suddenly, we have much fewer genes in the pan genome. And these short orbs, it's exactly where you might expect misannotation. So I would assume that the majority of genes forming this constantly increasing pan genome, actually the majority of these genes are not genes at all. These are spurious open reading frames misannotated as genes. And if we remove them, then actually all fractions of the pan genome saturate at a very fast rate. When we collect paralogs into families, the pan genome actually saturates at 1,000. So I argue that there is exactly about around 1,000 different gene families in chlamydia, and I don't expect that adding new chlamydial genome would actually add something to that. So we know everything about it, which is nice. But these are small genomes actually. And that actually brings us to the philosophical question we had started with at the beginning of this lecture. And now we are ready to provide a meaningful definition of bacterial species based on the analysis of gene content. So, assume that we have two groups of strains coming from related by distinct species. The red one and the gray one. What happens if we make U plots for them separately? Well, we have these beautiful U plots with no internal bits. What happens if we merge together these two sets of strains? We have common core, which is here, but we also have genes which are universal and specific for one species, and genes which are universal and specific for the other species. And these genes form these internal bits. So what we do, we collect, and actually we've done that. We collect genes, we collect genomes assigned to one species, identify the same genes. So we construct groups of orthologs, draw these U plots, histograms, check whether there are internal peaks, identify groups of strains responsible for this fix. Check again whether these peaks are indeed generated by some specific genes. And then we claim that we have a mixture of species, and the species should be divided into two. The problem is that there are two possible scenarios yielding this type of behavior. One is nice and beautiful, like here. Ancestral species divided into two. These two species were gaining and losing genes independently, and they have species-specific genes. A gene-specific, of course, these species would be genes acquired by this species and genes lost by the red species. Vice versa, gene-specific for red species would be genes acquired by red species and genes lost by gray species. That's nice. A much uglier situation is here. We have a species, and one branch, one clade in this species have been losing and acquiring genes at a fast rate. For instance, due to the change in the lifestyle. I'll show you the example. Now what happens now? Same situation. When you compare gray and red, you see species-specific genes. Gene-specific for red would be the ones acquired by red. Gene-specific for gray, which is the rest, would be genes lost by red. Red is nice monophyletic species. Gray is not. Gray is paraphyletic now. It doesn't form a single clade. And now this issue, so we have two criteria, weak and strong. In the strong version of the criterion, at the top, we have a nice monophyletic species, no problems. In the weak version of the criterion, we might obtain paraphyletic species, and it's actually a matter of major debate in evolutionary biology whether paraphyletic taxa are legitimate. And actually, we see lots of examples. It's not. So the good news is that we are now in the middle of argument that is boiling our ears, and it is not specific to bacteria. It's good news because, we are now in the mainstream. The bad news is that there is no good solution. For instance, birds and reptiles. We have class, in all class groups, we have a separate class Reptilia and a separate class Others. Now, we do know that the reality is like that. Birds it's a bird. Birds are closest relatives to the green. Are crocodiles. Then they have lizards and serpents and snakes. And probably then, do you see it? Probably not. Anyhow, then we have turtles. which means, well, these are reptilia. These are birds. Birds are a good monophyletic taxon. Reptilia are paraphyletic. Oops. Or, an even better example. Better because it's more recent. So that says, whales. It's huge marine things. Turned out that they're closest relatives to hippos, hippopotamus. And then we have the entire zoo of cows, goats, whomever, pigs, and so on and so on. But it's clear that these are different orders. These are cetaceans, and these are Archaeodactyla, which is even hoofed animals. Now again, cetaceans is a good order because it's monophyletic. But we now do not have an order of even hoofed animals because it's paraphyletic. And we have to live with that. So this issue of paraphyletic taxa, again, is widely discussed in evolutionary biology. And so we have two versions of this bacterial criteria. And what we say is that fine, actually, as you like it. If you think that paraphyletic taxa are okay, then use the big version. If you think that paraphyletic taxa is a very middle thing, then use the strong criteria, up to you. But we've done our bacterial stuff. A nice example is this it's not Prochlorococcus. Prochlorococcus is a genus of cyanobacteria. They live in the ocean. Some of them prefer shallow waters because they need a lot of light. Some of them are okay with feel okay in deep waters because they are not that dependent. They are okay with low light. And people were studying them, and they were assigned to the same genus, and different papers proposed different divisions of this genus into species. And we've done our analysis, and it turned out that there are two clear separate groups. What is interesting is that, and they are monophyletic, by the way. So the history of this genus is over there at the top. One group, which lives in low light, has gained some genes and has lost some genes. The other group, which lives both in low light and in high light conditions, hasn't gained anything but has lost a lot of genes. So we propose that there are two species, not five like some people believe, and not one like some other people believe. Or, oops, oh no. It's okay, it's just showing that, well, it's something that the reviewer asked us to do to show that our partition is stable for subsampling. We've done that, it's stable for subsampling. Go to hell, you. And these are these big criterion scenarios. For instance, what is that? Okay, Buchner is here. One group gained some genes, lost a lot of genes, nothing happened to the other group. The other group is practicated. The same in Staphylococcus. Staphylococcus equi used to be one species, actually has a branch, a distinct branch, again characterized by lots of gains and losses, but the remainder is practicated. And the same for Brucella. Well, so things happen. Same story. Now, how do these fast evolving branches appear? It looks like, in many cases, what is needed for this weak criterion paraphyletic situation? We need a branch, an evolutionary tree, where lots of gene gains and losses occur. Now, when do we expect that? Is when we have a fast evolving species and a fast evolving strain. And when do we expect fast evolution? It is when the strain or the group of strains changes the lifestyle. Because we do expect that when we change, something changes the lifestyle, it would evolve faster. And actually, gene gains and losses in bacteria and in prokaryotes at least is one of the fastest processes, one of the fastest evolutionary processes. And indeed, what do we have at the top? We have Buchalgeria malayi and Buchalgeria pseudomalayi, used to be, assumed to be different species, but what we have there, we have huge gene losses in malayi, and indeed, malayi strains cause, I forgot the English name, renders some some disease of horses, which is also humans may also get that, but rarely, and for horses it's a deadly disease. The remainder is pseudomalayi strains, because when you do this, it's a common disease, much more gentle. So we have a young pathogen that has changed the host fairly recently, and in this process has lost of it. Now here we have the history of Yersinia species, and again we have Yersinia. It's mixed, it's a wrong picture. It's actually the colors are mixed here. Nobody noticed that. I've noticed that last year, I remember that. In the paper it's still wrong. Never mind. So what we have here, we have this fast evolving Yersinia pestis branch and slow evolving Yersinia tuberculosis branch. And again, Yersinia pestis cause plants. So, Yersinia tuberculosis causes some stomach disease, relatively mild. So again, and moreover, pestis has this additional ability to be transferred by fleas, by insects. So again, what we see here is a very young pathogen, very aggressive. There's a recent change in the lifestyle, And again, this recent change in the lifestyle is accompanied by numerous gains and losses. So it looks like a pattern here. And actually, our next topic again would deal with these young pathogens. They also have some interesting trends in evolution. Okay, so we have these U curves. Oh, Shigella's, by the way, non-manipulatic, occurring in all different branches of Escherichias. So Shigellas are just like Shigella do not exist as a Platon idea. Okay, now quiz again. It now comes from the Cooling's group. So you have groups of 10 strains coming from different parts of the taxonomy tree. In some of these groups, strains are closely related. In other groups, strains are more distant based on sequence comparison. And you have U-curves, the U-curves of these different groups of strains. Now, actually, you have also these colored dots. That's because they try to fit various models to these groups. Don't care about them, just look at the histograms. So again, you have groups of 10 strains. In some groups, strains are closely related. In other groups, strains are more distant. So, could you tell me which of these 4 panels comes from the situation when the strains are very close to each other? Third, which is how the bottom left. Yeah, of course, because you have lots and lots of universal genes there. And which are the most distant ones? First, yeah, of course. Same idea. Lots of unique genes and few universal ones. Okay, good. Yes, as I told you, you can actually plot, you construct the same plot for any group of strain. For instance, this is the U-plot of all archaea. And so it's like 7 years ago, so there were 120 archaeal genomes back then, and it turned out that this is logarithmic scale, so it turned out that there are approximately 500, well, less, 300 to 400 genes which are, gene families which form the archaeal core that are common to all archaeal species. Okay, and possibly well, it was probably the last plot is that if you look at the single genome, what do you see? You see less than 100 absolutely conserved genes, which are universal or almost universal throughout all prokaryotes. You have the largest fraction are genes which are universal within the given taxonomy group. And then you have few genes from the periphery and few unique genes. So if you look at the level of genome, of all genes in your list of species, then most genes would be unique or very rare. But because they are unique, because they're present in only single strain each, when you look at the level of individual genomes, the major fraction of this individual genome would still be universal gene. This is universal genes. This is sort of, well, it's not a paradox, but it's something to be, again, kept in mind. That in each particular genome, most genes will be universal. But when you start counting genes in a set of genomes, then most genes would be rare. And probably that's it. That's enough. Okay. Yeah, that's it. And probably well, yeah, I will start a new project, so probably it's let's make it today. That's it.